I can't wait to get back on the road again. Back again. Dude, like for the baggers.
Back home again.
Back home again.
In
Indiana land.
Welcome back, everybody, to Dirtyard Dish. This is our 5th season. Episode 1 of Season 5. We've been doing this little podcast for CCW since the summer of 2019. Here we are in the off-season heading into 2023, and we've got a new year, just celebrated a new year, and we've got some new rules and new just things around the league that we want to give you all a little update about, considering we just wrapped up 2 of our winter meetings in November and December. I am the host, co-host for today, Rudy Lyon, the Deputy Commish of CCW, and I'm here with none other than the Commissioner and founder of Circle City Wiffle, Brendan Dudas. What is up, Mr. Dudas?
What's up, Rudy? For this show and this show only, I will be the assistant to the co-host.
Okay,
so
the assistant to the co-host, the assistant to the Deputy Commissioner.
There's no real host.
Okay.
Just you and I.
Yeah. How many pods do you think you and I have done together?
Oh, boy. Most of them.
Too many or not enough?
I feel like it hasn't been till recently that we've kind of got other people to start doing them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually a great lead-in, though, considering now we're divvying up the responsibilities more for this season.
Mm-hmm.
To start here, I'm just going to do a quick kind of recap of some of the logistical things that we decided on, voted on in 2 of our meetings that came around November 10th and December 10th. We've been sitting on that info just so that everyone can enjoy the holidays, get through them. In Dudas' case, he enjoyed a nice holiday break, and he's back to teaching and coaching, so he's a busy man now. But we'll start with rosters and free agency. I know free agency is the thing that was brand new to CCW last year, was really exciting, generated a lot of hype and social media content. We are going to build off of that this year, most certainly. Thing of note, the probably most major announcement of the 2022 into 23 offseason is the addition of a new team, which we will dedicate a podcast to in the coming weeks with new manager Taylor Carpenter of the Swamp Dragons. He'll give you all the details as to why he chose that unique name. But that gives us a 7th team. And so with a 6-team, 7-player roster max, we decided to flip-flop those numbers. We now have 7 teams with a 6-player max. So still 42 overall players in the league. That doesn't exclude guys that would be on inactive rosters or fill-in subs, things like that. Another big detail that we voted on, and this was mainly handled by the Player Value Oversight Committee, which Dudas will talk about later, is we have a tiered pitcher system now, and all 7 teams will have one Tier 1 pitcher, so a top 7 arm on their team. And that also means that there will not be any top-tier arms on the same team. So there'll be a distribution of arm talent in the league.
Ideally speaking, of course. I mean,
yes, yeah.
We rank the guys 1 to 7. I'm sure some guys will slip in and out, but
sure.
yeah.
On
paper.
On paper, and that's all we can do. I mean,
right.
you look at the 8 balls last year. On paper, heading into the preseason with all the roster reviews, they'll finish 5th, 6th, and then on paper, we didn't know Austin Ollis and his massive calves were going to be a huge anchor to that lineup and to that team, and then being in the Dirtyard Classic. So with that as well, the salary cap is a little bit tweaked this year. The official salary cap number, which will be calculated by the Player Oversight Committee with Dudas and Thomas Hopkins and some others, is now going to be prorated within each of the rosters. So based on you will have a cap for like the top 4 players on your team, and then correct me if I'm wrong, it's 5 and 6 up to that 6 cap. So we don't go lower than 3, correct?
Well, no. So we're going top. We're basically it's at the important part is the top part of the roster. So the top 2 guys, the top 3 guys, and the top 4 guys have to come in separate. Come in under separate caps. So basically, just trying to circumvent the strategy where a team loads the top 2 or 3 parts of their roster and then fills out the bottom half with minimum value guys. And I think it'll force a lot of guys to get really creative with their roster creations. And ideally, I mean, in an ideal world for me at least, it forces some different players to play with guys that they never would have played with in other circumstances.
Yeah, I think this was affectionately known as, for numerous times now a Mike Speak 8 balls rule.
Right.
There are multiple rules in CCW that seem Mike Speaks. He's a savvy vet. He's also conniving and he finds loopholes. And he would even admit that, I think. So
he will.
That comes with age and with seasoning.
Yeah, a lot of our rules are starting to get attached to player names. I think the Dudas rule got dropped this off season. We've got the Smitty rule, which was the salary cap in itself, and
that's so true.
So
what would my rule be?
The Rudy rule: don't throw him any strikes in the playoffs because he's going to make you freaking cry. Something like that.
Oh man, the Rudy rule sounds like the Rooney rule in the NFL.
I know.
Nothing
you must interview one ginger.
That's perfect. That's perfect. I am the only ginger manager in the league, so it fits. And the last thing I have on rosters and free agency is we've kind of floated the idea of dropping the rookie cap hit value. It was 10 last year. We thought about maybe cutting that in half just to furthermore incentivize getting first-time players in because some rosters are very tight to the cap. I think, especially in a case like Will's, where he's $100, he's got to find a way to pinch pennies around that salary cap. So looking to see the moonshots, potentially bring in more rookies, see how things pan out.
Right. Yeah, I think if we kept it at 10, it was going to make it hard for guys to fit those rookies in, and like you said, we want to include as many new players as possible.
Moving on to next category of rules on the field of play itself. Not a ton of tweaks. It seems like in each of these committee meetings, year after year, the fine tuning becomes less and less, and it is just that fine tuning. And it's really like there's nothing necessarily wrong with the rules that we had in place, but it's just like, hey, this is a great thing, but how can we make it just 1%, 5%, 10% better? And I think with our games no longer having time limits, we also wanted to create a nice flow and a pace to the game that takes some of the drudgery out of the pitch to hit rules. And so this conversation in our meeting went very long, and there were so many different possibilities.
It almost went completely off the rails as well.
Yes, and it was fun though, like because we were all trying to think so creatively. There was talk about like eliminating the K board. There was talk of can you remember any of them? They're all just spinning around in my brain.
Going straight to like Orbital rules, and then, gosh, there was having your own player pitch to you.
Yes,
that's where it almost went way out into left field.
Yeah, and there were obviously coach pitch. You can't fault the coach.
Right.
Like you got if you're striking out on your coach, then you just suck. But then it's like, how does that affect stats? And is it really affecting the ERA of a pitcher if he's not throwing the ball? But we settled on this, and we're trimming down the number of balls not on the board in lob pitch situations that will lead to extra bases. So formerly it was in increments of 5. You get a ball 5, you're going to get another 5 for a double. 4. Excuse me. We went back down to 4, didn't we?
I was getting ready to make a joke, or was it 4?
Yes, I know. I'm originally like, okay, this takes too long. Then we went. We were like back and forth on 4 and 5. Made it uniform, made it ununiform, and now we're like just completely, as you said, off the rails. So 3 balls not on the board is going to be a 2-base walk. 5 consecutive, or not even consecutive, just 5 period, is a 3-base walk, and then 7 is going to be a home run. So that really incentivizes the pitcher, which one of the Dudas rules comes into play here with like changing eye levels and speeds and all that, just to throw off a hitter's timing.
Right.
You can't waste a pitch.
Yeah.
Because there's no count reset even if you hit the board. Now, in favor of the pitcher is that if a hitter does choose to take 2 pitches and they hit the board, he's out.
Right.
So this, if you add it all up, barring some foul balls, it's really going to cut down on the potential max because that guy has a 5-0 count, takes 4 balls, 1 hits the board, takes a strike, resets, and it's just this. It could end up being a 25-30 pitch at bat.
Right, and you're like, how often could that possibly happen? And it weirdly happened enough, and especially as guys like myself started to push the boundaries of that rule, it really slowed the game down. And like you said, with no time limit, I think the idea and the purpose behind these rules is to figure out a way to move things along and create a better flow out at the Dirtyard.
And I think especially, we didn't really see it heavily in the playoffs, but that's when 30 pitch at bats could happen in the playoffs with those rules and those tough at bats.
Yep.
The walk-off grand slam by Will Smithy, that was not a short at bat. I'll be honest. Like, I was calling it. He was patient. He worked it full. Yeah. And then he hit the walk-off winner to take the series last August.
Right.
Beyond that, we also kind of maybe this is my rule. This is at least a Yacker rule because we are now limiting in a 3-game series. So you're going to have an 18-game schedule, 7 teams playing the other 6 opponents 3 times. You cannot face all 18 innings against the same pitcher. So
there's the Rudy rule. Yeah.
Yes, it's the Yackers last year at my own fault because of my scheduling and conflicts with work. Is like we always had to play the early pool, and we always faced 2 aces every Sunday, and we had to hit off of Will Smithy and Taylor Carpenter 4 times each last year. Opened the season getting no hit by Taylor. Right. We probably got no hit by Will. It'd be a miracle if we didn't at least get no hit once.
Yeah.
So the cap is now 12 innings against any one team. Now that could be divvied up between the 3 games in the regular season. You can go 4-4-4. You can do 6-4-2 or 6-6, whatever. But we're able to track that. It's not difficult on stats, so easy fix.
And it'll be interesting. I'm kind of interested to see if guys start like long-term planning out their pitching. Like if big matchup between 2 contending teams, if Smithy wants to bring himself out to make sure he's got innings left in the last matchup against that team or whatever. So you start to see like strategy within the strategy, I think there. So it should be really interesting.
That incentivizes teams not to let off the gas pedal when they're up big too. Because if you win in a run rule, you're saving innings against that team, that same team later in the season.
Really good point.
So it's a firm quantitative rule, but it's got flexibility within it based on the outcome of the games.
Right.
I teased this already with season structure with an added team. We're going from a 15 to an 18-game schedule that 6 opponents 3 times each, like I mentioned. And with 7 teams, that means there's going to be bye weeks. So, again, similar to the NFL, like we've already talked about the NFL a couple times with words like Rooney Rule and arm talent. Now we have bye weeks because you can't have all 7 playing because someone's going to get left out in any particular Sunday dual pod system like we've got with the round robins. Season opener is going to be sometime in May. That date has not been set officially, and it's going to be like a staggered season start because of the buys. Very likely, I know we've discussed this, that with your coaching well into May with Southport baseball, you will likely get one of the early buys in May, so you guys can not be as swamped for time and conflict with yourself. And then, we'll have more flexibility with the scheduling, with it being drawn out from early mid-May to the end of July, which is a roughly 10-week season. Again, 6 should equal really about 6, 7, 8 weeks of play. So there's going to be flexibility for rainouts and cancellations and schedule conflicts, all that. And we are leaving the weekend at the end of July open for cooperation with Hometown Cup, because we want to encourage our guys to go play the slow pitch style in one of the greatest tournaments in the world. That's only 2.5 hours away from us. So,
and I think, that the big thing with NWLA leaving our backyard this summer, we've kind of got this renewed focus towards pouring effort into going out and traveling to these other tournaments. So, if possible, take 2 squads or 2 leagues to NWLA, take 2 teams out to UWIFs, and then multiple teams to Hometown. So hopefully we can make that happen. But I think you and I both talked about it. We're excited about the injection of energy we're going to have this summer to focus on CCW type stuff.
Yes. The opportunity cost of hosting a national level tournament is immense and heavy.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean, I think we kind of gushed about this in a very heartfelt podcast between you and I back in July after raising the trophy. Is like, we're still going to pitch in and help in whatever way we can for Jake Davey and the crew out of Western PA. But we are excited to exhale, take a deep breath. And I have not played in Hometown Cup, so maybe this is finally the year. It's never a long schedule.
You'd be so good at it too. That's your style. That is your style.
You know me. I'm a way more intense guy than all that lob pitch stuff. So. Let's see. Oh, postseason dates. So we do have these set, even though the opener's not set. It's kind of backwards, but honestly, it's easier to schedule August. Wild card Wednesday, which we do have our playoff structure is like officially stamped. It's not going to be adjusted.
Right.
It's only slightly tweaked from last year, just because of what we had to do with getting. It's honestly very similar to the Bills-Bengals scenario, where teams weren't getting enough games. So how does this affect so-and-so and getting bang for your buck? So the 7th team will not make the playoffs. Top 6 are in. The 3, 6, and 4, 5 seeds will play in a 1-game wild card, which we did for like 2 or 3 straight years, and it was a blast.
Yeah.
It's one and done. That'll be the Wednesday or Thursday, the first Wednesday or Thursday in August. And then Double Limb Sunday was really fun, having the top 4 teams compete in that. You got to win 2 games to advance to the Dirtyard Classic, or 3 if you're coming out of the losers bracket. And that's on August 6th, and the Classic is the following week, so everyone's rested in that best of 3 matchup. And then the following Saturday is the pièce de résistance of the CCW season, the CCW All-Star Game.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, just kind of, placing our stamp on a format. So now that we've got this, our focus kind of in this offseason was, let's find something that works and try to find something that can be scalable. So now we have top 6 will get in. And I think, if we expand to 15 teams, we're still right there. 6 teams get in, and we have this format that's ours. So.
Yep. Get to patent that thing for Circle City playoff.
Right.
Yeah. I can't imagine many leagues have 7 teams. So
no.
The CCW 7. All right. Well, that pretty much that wasn't brief. I'll say that. I tried.
Right.
That honestly was a lot of more information than even I expected, and a lot of good points you made, interjection there. But the interview portion of this podcast is more me asking you about 2 main things, and that's about the creation of subcommittees, which you and I have taken on a lot of the logistical brunt over the last handful of years.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've had help with, workhorses like Dylan Jones, who's doing grounds crew, and Thomas Hopkins, who has used his own company to provide LED lights and scoreboards and all that thing. Like, everyone pitches in their own way, but it's been informal for the most part. So with that, I first want to ask, like, how excited are you for this as the commissioner, and kind of give us a breakdown of all the subcommittees that we created. This
is probably, coming into this season, this is the thing I'm most excited about. And I've felt myself as I've gotten older and more experience with the league, that the playing aspect of the wiffle ball league has fallen secondary. And I just love like the organization of it all, and the preparation. But like you said, it's always been so informal. So we've had guys reach out in droves wanting to help, but you and I just, we never really had it in order enough to tell them exactly what we wanted. So splitting into 7 subcommittees, kind of with the goal of forming a formal board and qualifying ourselves as a 501c nonprofit organization. This is all steps to do that. So the 7 boards, we've got the Players Association, the Groundskeeping Board, the All-Star Game Planning Board, the Content Committee, Umpiring and Rules, the Player Value Oversight Committee, and then National Team Relations. And those are 7 boards we decided on. You want me to go through and talk about the leader of each one? Okay, so for our first Players Association, we asked the entire league to kind of give us some names of guys they thought were approachable, dependable, guys they could trust to come to with any complaints about rules or things that maybe they didn't. I mean, I hope I'm an approachable guy, but a lot of times it's awkward to come to me and be like, dude, this part of your league fucking blows, dude. You need to change it. So overwhelmingly, like every result came back and said Mitch bias. So Mitch is an awesome dude. He's earned the respect of his league mates, obviously, and he's been appointed as the first president of the CCW Players Association. Groundskeeping is being headed by Dylan Jones, who is always out there working his butt off. I can't think of anybody better really to be in charge of the Dirtyard grounds crew. The All-Star Game Planning Committee will be Thomas Hopkins, who has had his hand in like every aspect of that for the last 3 years, I think, and we've really seen an uptick in interest in the game and overall just enjoyment out there. I think it's been a lot of fun with him in control. The Content Committee is headed by Alex Gerchev. That includes you and D. Louie, Dylan Dowden. Dustin just reached out today about joining some stuff. Is there one more I'm missing? Keegan Coy's in that one. Player value oversight is my committee. Myself, Thomas, Taylor, and Blake Voris are working through that. These are kind of our super nerdy guys that are really invested in the numbers and the values behind all of that. And then lastly, national team relations. There's not a single other person in the league that is more fit to handle it than Will Smithy, who eats, sleeps, and breathes wiffle ball. So those are our 7 subcommittees, and then the leaders of each of those subcommittees come together to form our board of directors for Circle City Wiffle.
Perfect. Yeah, you maybe subconsciously even uttered it or said it. It's like, the bulk of the leadership, like we'd have to tap people on the shoulder, but like this system, it creates independence of free thinking, and that way it's like we don't even have to do the shoulder tapping. Yeah. And a guy I think of already, kudos to Alex Gerchev, who's, he's like he got us to download an app called Asana, which it's ASANA, and it's just a workflow system that's all about like pre-production, post-production. It's got to-do lists, it's got calendar. We're all on it, and we're able to see each step and progress point. And that's going to play its way out through the rest of these Dirtyard Dish podcasts in January. Right. And so we're already seeing the fruits of that labor and the effort, where it's like, hey, you love this. And he was already instrumental, being the Wiffletarian of 2022 in CCW in getting the stream up and running. And now it's just the sky's the limit now.
Like you said, and I wake up in the morning to like the email from Asana that's like, here's your to-do list for the day. And I'm like, hell yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just so cool. I know content is probably the more active. The player value one is another active subcommittee, but I'm actually in all of them just as a viewer of the committees. I'm not really part of them all, but it's just cool to see the guys going back and forth, like you said, being creative, offering up their ideas. And I feel like in some way, shape, or form, the formality of it is just offered like an avenue for every guy to feel comfortable offering their ideas and inputting what they're good at. So I think it's going to work really well.
Yeah. So I mentioned the 7. We got 7 teams. We got 7 committees. And I think that's a perfect transition into each of these 7 teams, this is another exciting initiative that we've discussed in meetings and over Slack channels and things like that. But we're also going to have 7 corresponding community initiatives with each of the teams. And I'll let you touch on that, as this was kind of a brainchild that is near and dear to your heart with a lot of these different organizations that we want to partner with. But yeah, just kind of spill the beans on what this community initiative is all about.
Right. I probably jumped the gun when I said the subcommittees was the thing I'm most excited about, because I just got chills when you started talking about this. This is, for those of you that don't know, we raise money for pediatric brain cancer research in honor of my late niece, Whitley. It's kind of been our entire league's mission since we started, and especially with the All-Star Game, Cure DIPG. And just this past season, we passed over $21,000 in funds raised for that organization. So this off season our league has been through a lot together as is. But we have, some close friends who have dealt with addiction, including my brother and my sister. We've had a league mate whose brother died by suicide, and just some things that have really touched me and some really meaningful ways. So this season, what we'd like to try to do is pair every team, every franchise, and every coach with an organization in which the league funds, some of the percentage of the league funds or percentage of donations, percentages of merchandise purchases will go toward that team's partnered organization. So, for example, some of the organizations we've kind of thought up, we're going to stick with Whitley's wishes and continue to do work for her. the Muscular Dystrophy Association, which is something I volunteer for every year, the Martin Luther King Center in Indianapolis, the Progress House and Holistic Addiction Rehabilitation Center, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. This was one that Mitch Bias pointed out that he's really passionate about. And then the Children's Organ Transplant Association, which is one that Thomas Hopkins is really passionate about since he donated an organ. I think it was to his nephew. I believe it was his nephew or his little cousin, but he does a really cool event every summer called Wiffle and raises money there. So it's not that I feel like we've done enough for Whitley's Wishes. There's probably never enough. But I do feel like it's time to start letting, we've got a bunch of passionate dudes in our league, and it's time to start letting them branch out and figure out what other good we can do. So just ridiculously excited for it, to the point where I think we'll put our league patch on one shoulder, and then each team will have their charity patch on the other shoulder. And we'll really just push that throughout the season and try to see who can compete and raise the most money for their partner organization. I think Thomas provided the idea. He thought it would be cool to, for our draft, we're going to do the lottery or whatever. And he thought it would be cool if the funds raised was like a competition and determined how many ping pong balls you got in the rookie draft. So I thought, that could be a cool wrinkle in that as well.
Yeah, a little teaser there. We are instituting a lottery for the rookie draft, and from year to year, obviously it won't be in effect for this upcoming year. It'll just be based on statistics from the previous season, all that. But money raised could affect the algorithm. I know it's not ping pong balls in the NBA, but the algorithm, however that works, to improve odds. So it's really cool to see the transition of, over the last handful of years, we've tried to professionalize or bizify, like business, the league by getting sponsors and put those patches on the jerseys. And now, like, we can still do that. And that it's great to partnership with business to see money come into the league. But then in the same breath of the other side of the coin is like, hey, we've been doing this for how many years now? This will be season number
11.
Oh,
yeah, I think 10 was last year.
Yeah.
2014 was the first year.
So we're at a decade now. And it's like, maybe it's time after 10 years to start giving back.
Yeah.
And gaining some opportunities of exposure for these awesome initiatives and organizations that live nationally and within our local community of Indianapolis.
Right. And I don't think we're going to do anything groundbreaking or crazy, but that's not really what we're out to do. I mean, it's cool to have seen us come full circle and kind of be like self-sustaining now, like to where we don't feel the need to hog all the funds that come into our league. We feel like we can start dedicating those to better things. So you're right. You're absolutely right there.
Absolutely. So with all that kind of, I wouldn't say it sums it up, but it definitely gives you a good view of what we've been thinking on, working on since we kind of laid our heads to rest on CCW in late August. And then for those of you that went to York, PA and UWIFs, it would have been around mid-October. So it's been 3 months of dormancy, but no one really knows what's going on with our texting, our thumbs away on Slack, or these 2 meetings that we've had. Shout out to Half Liter Barbecue and Big Lug for hosting one of our meetings, and to Mike Speak for hosting our December meeting. Great time as always with the guys to come up with all these ideas. We're excited to put these into effect here in the coming months, as opening day is 4 months away, less than 4 months away. So it'll be here before we know it. In closing, I've got a couple things. Do you have anything you want to plug?
It depends on what you're about to plug. Maybe I should listen to what you're going to plug first.
Okay, I'll plug first.
I'll plug last.
Yeah. I'm guessing you didn't read the show sheet, but just kidding. I know you did. So this month in January, these are a couple other exciting things we got going on. Most notably is that registration is live. We've tweeted about it. If you want to register to play in 2023, we need you to register by midnight on January 31st, end of this month. You can find the link on Twitter. Go to our Circle City Wiffle website, toggle over some of the drop downs, and then the registration form will be right there. It'll give you all the information you need. Remember, end of January, we've only got 22 days left. So get on that. And that goes for current players.
Yes, everybody. Everybody. If you intend to play in 2023, you have to register.
Yes. And these registrations are going to affect your cap number and the cap, the salary cap. So do it. And then lastly is we have partnered with Power. Right, that's PAUER out of the Dayton, Ohio area.
Is the logo on your shirt?
Ooh. Yeah,
is it up there?
Power.
Hey.
Full lightning bolt.
Yeah. Jersey of the year right there.
Yes. The CCW UWIF's jersey, National Jersey of the Year. I did not go, but I had to cop me one because it's the Phoenix Suns throwback look. Like you all didn't know that, though. So Power Wiffle, they supplied the Yackers with jerseys last year. The Moonshots, they would have supplied the short shorts if there wasn't a little bit of a hiccup there. No big deal. Still great quality of jerseys. We thought that it would be great to kind of create a uniform supplier for the whole league. And with that, we're going to create a team store for league merchandise through them. And we'll have that up and running hopefully by the end of the month as well. So if you want to potentially get a Will Smithy jersey, authentic, that would be the place to go. But just teasing that. Maybe that's down the road. But we'll baby steps first. So that's all I've got to plug. What do you have to plug?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I guess for registration, the big thing is don't wait on that. Like I said, like Rudy said, our salary cap is dependent upon that. So many years we get, a month away from the season and I get a few texts like, hey, how do I sign up for Wiffle Ball? So we're telling you how to sign up. If you're thinking about it, it takes maybe 2 minutes. So just pull out your phone, go sign up so that we can plan and make sure that our free agency process moves as smoothly and as fairly as possible. Outside of that, man, I'm ready to go on this stuff. Like you said, Taylor, you're doing an episode with Taylor soon to talk about that 7th team. We have, I want to say, I just looked at the list, like 5 rookies signed up maybe. So that's exciting. The rookie combine will come up shortly after that. So if you're a rookie looking to play some wiffle ball, what you'll first do is sign up, and then you'll come out to our combine where we can kind of scout you and do all that fun stuff. But man, I'm just jacked for wiffle ball. It's good to get this. I guess I don't want to say out of the way. Get this rolling because this feels like the official start of wiffle ball season. Because once you get the content schedule rolling, it all just kind of flies by.
I agree. Once we sober up from the All-Star game in late August, it's like I'm not even thinking about wiffle ball.
Right.
In your case, you had to think about UWIFs, but for me, it's like I turn my brain off, need to decompress from it for a little bit, and then you get to start feeling the itch around Christmas. And then once you turn the calendar over to the new year, like it's on. Like let's start thinking about it, start throwing bullpens, all that stuff. And it's going to be fun too because now we have more invested hands, these committees, all that. So another fantastic year.
Right. I guess we should give some shout outs to the guys that won some national recognition.
Yeah.
Dylan Jones, manager of the year. He texted us and joked. He's like, I think my most difficult task was getting Taylor's ass to the field on time for all of our games. Because he almost missed first pitch to that. I don't even what was it?
It was Ridley. It was that first game.
We're calling him like, dude, where are you at? And he's like, oh God. So Dylan Jones.
DJ's like, grab a bat. You're taking some warm up cuts. Are you ready if Taylor's still sleeping? I was like, okay, cool. I'm ready.
He dealt with all the egos that existed on that team, and by all the egos, I mean the ego that is my ego. Taylor Carpenter gets nominated for Central Player of the Year, and I kind of put out a little blurb about him. I think he lags behind Will in both hitting and pitching, and nobody's going to argue that he doesn't. But where he really makes up his ground as an all-around player is in the field on the base paths. And my God, just kind of watching him compete out there outside of the baseline hitting and pitching stats is really cool to do. So it was awesome to see him get that recognition there. Obviously, Will Smithy, he's now up for National Player of the Year. I can't think of a guy that award is more spot on for because his development over the last is this year 4 for him?
Will? Yeah,
I think it's year 4, man.
He's the 19. He's been doing this as long as we've been podcasting.
Yeah, his development has been absurd, but from like day one where he really started taking it seriously, he constantly told me, Dudas, I'm gonna be a top 10 player in the country, and he said that's my goal. This is what I want to do. I don't have anything else going on. I want to dominate wiffle ball. So he's done just that. Am I missing people? Austin Alice.
Austin was a Rookie of the Year nomination.
Yeah, got snubbed. I think he was really deserving, but it's hard to break onto the scene and win something like that. And then
undoubtedly best calves in the country.
Oh,
we talk about this every time.
Oh God.
I'm sexually attracted to that man's calves.
Yeah, I think that I don't think Reed might have been. Was he a nominee for Pitcher of the Year or no?
I don't think so. I mean, you could arguably put him for, if there was such a category, pitching performance of a weekend.
Oh my God, what he did at the end of the tournament was ridiculous. So
yeah,
just really proud of those dudes. It's just so fun to sit back at the Dirtyard and watch them play. And I don't know how many times I go up and hug them, and I'm just like, dude, you're such a dog. I love you, man. Thank you for playing and coming out here and doing what they've done for our league. So thank you guys. And there's many more that we haven't name dropped, but they all deserve some recognition.
Absolutely. Yeah, as Jamal Williams said, post-game interview with Lions-Packers game, we got some dogs in this mug.
Quit playing with us, man. We're CCW. We're CCW.
Yeah, CCW personifies that Detroit Lion Jamal Williams energy. We cry, and then we just snap into it, and then we're making rally cries instead of tears.
God, we do cry a lot. We're an emotional, passionate bunch.
Yeah, we should. Yeah. Oh, well, again, great as always to assemble another podcast with you. It was like this one fairly winged, but after doing it for 5 years, it's like
just a conversation with the camera in our faces.
It's just like, SVP and Stu Scott on the mic.
Oh, God, don't do that to us.
Come on. All right, y'all. Well, thanks again, Commissioner Dudas, for hopping on for the first episode of Season 5 of Dirtyard Dish. Much more to come, content-wise, podcast-wise, in the coming weeks and months, along with more information on registration, opening day, free agency, all that. So stay tuned to our Twitter, our Instagram, Facebook pages, all the different social networks that CCW operates on, and we'll see you around the bend.
Peace.
I can't wait to get back on the road again. Back again. Dude, like for the baggers.
Back home again.
Back home again.
In
Indiana land.